to go?
Yeah, I'll just
Okay.
make you're spotlighted for everyone.
All right. Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Coach's Corner. We got a special show tonight where we're going to be talking about what we've learned through this project and bringing Coach's Corner to all of you, not only about doing the show, but about what we've learned about fighting, what we learned from coaching other people. We have Jarl Ailgheanan and Sir Bess Mortimer from Eldamir that are joining us tonight as coaches. And Sir Teelward has graciously agreed to produce the show tonight. So he's running things behind the scenes. So I want to put out a particular thank you to him because we ran into a bit of an issue today where we didn't have a producer to somebody run behind the scenes. So he stepped in at the last second. And I really appreciate it, Teelward. Thank you. So welcome everybody to the show. And it's good to see everybody. I know we had one or two coaches that were going to join us tonight, but we're not able to through the last minute. But what we're going to talk about is things that we've learned, and it's a little bit more than just like a reminiscing type approach that we're going to take here, because a coach is always going to be learning from their students, from the people that they help, whether it's for just a minute or two or a few minutes to working with somebody for weeks or months or maybe even years. You're going to learn. It's a mutual exploration, and that's something that, you know, as you start coaching people, always be wary of taking too much of I'm the master and I'm going to impart my knowledge on somebody and I know everything and they should just listen. One of the most important things you can do as a coach is to listen, to watch, observe, and adjust how you're teaching someone. So welcome everybody tonight. Maybe we'll just kind of pass it around. Ailgheanan, would you like to start and throw in perhaps some comments on the subject?
Sure. So one of the things I'm really looking forward to out of tonight's episode, though, is hearing some of, the people who've really been experiencing this broadcast from the beginning and what they've been able to take away from it. And where I can, I'm going to share what I've learned from the broadcast and what we've learned from the episodes that I've been able to put into place both as a fighter and as a trainer. So I really look forward to the ride this evening, and I really look forward to the questions and the comments that we're going to hopefully get from our regular viewers.
Yes, please. Feel free, if you're listening live, to jump on with comments, or if you would like clarifications on things you're working on. We're here. Everybody's here to help. So with that, Bess, do you have something to get started with?
I've learned I'm really bad at Zoom. One of the things I will say, just as an overarching, overarching thing, technical term, every single person who's come on, every single episode, the willingness of everybody to share their knowledge, to be open and receptive to learning, the active conversations that we have amongst the coaches, both online during the episodes and with the audience members that we have as they're watching us. I think that has been one of the most interesting things to me. And that the coaches that we've had here and the people who regularly view are truly, truly receptive to learning and asking questions. And they're not all stuck in the my way is the right way, the one true way. They're not one true wayists. And I think that has been a really big surprise to me. You know, we've had some, and we do have some big names here on the show as coaches, and they are the most willing to share, outgoing, and very kind people. The conversations that we have leading up to the episodes, during it, behind the scenes as we're chatting, and then afterwards, their willingness to reach out and to share has been a marvelous thing to me. So I very much appreciate that.
Well, and I appreciate your participation, Bess, because I remember we kind of brought you in because you're brimming with questions and comments and observations, and you were so eager to participate. Like, that's what we love, and that's why doing this show live is the opportunity to hear from people and have a kind of a two-way conversation, because a one-way conversation is never as productive as one that goes both directions. And I think that's an important thing for any coach to have, is to know, all right, what is my student, or what is this other person? What are they curious about? Where is their mind at right now? What is the next thing they're willing and eager to learn? Or what is it they're interested in absorbing? Not so much just you say, here's what you need, what I know you need, just now eat it up. If they're not ready for it, it won't be taken up as quickly.
One of the things about the episodes as we do them is that, you know, we might have a couple episodes that touch on a topic, and then in a couple of weeks we touch on the topic again. And during those 2 weeks times, I've been thinking about it. I'm like, you know, I've been thinking about what we said. And when we just say it, like, work harder, not smarter. That's, or no, work smarter, not harder. The first is my actual workplace. But, you know, when you say it, you're like, yeah, I should work smarter, not harder. And then you're like, well, what does that actually mean? So I sometimes feel like I can be a bit of a pain in the ass. Like, well, what do you mean by this? And what about this? And what about that? Like, because I figure if I don't understand, or if I've been thinking about it, that other people must be thinking about it as well. And some people might be a little shy to ask the questions. And I am not shy to ask the questions, because if I want to know something, I want to know it. And if something's been bugging me, I need the answers.
And I give you great credit for having the courage that only, 1 in 20 have, which is to say, I'll admit to, I don't know the answer to it, but I want to know. And it's far better to do that than to sit quietly and go, I don't know, but I don't want to look foolish by asking. And so I'm just going to sit here quietly and assume that I understand, but I don't. That's a way that one's, how would you call it? Lack of self-confidence can actively get in the way of learning and growing. And, it's great that you've had so much energy to come in. And I remember when you had these questions, I'm like, we got to get Bess on the show. Like, we got to bring her in, because this is the kind of vigorous, inquisitive activity that really fosters growth and learning. I mean, it's like a fire. You just soak something in gasoline and light it up. And that's how it goes.
Well, you guys have always been very gracious to me, so I appreciate that.
Sure.
And I like too that the fact that the audience members are doing it as well. Like, when was it 2 weeks ago? Mark, but I'm not sure if that's his SCA name. We were talking about mindlessness, and I was saying, when I go to tourneys, everything is new. My armor bag isn't in the same spot. I have no rituals. And somebody specifically asked, what can I, give me a concrete thing that I can hold on to and I can do, as opposed to, well, just develop your own routines. So I thought that was really yeah, audience, you ask us the questions. You don't just let us be all airy fairy and artsy fartsy at you. Ask the questions so that we can all really figure out what it is that we need to do. Because I hate to say this, but I get business jock talk all the time at mundane work. And you're like, yeah, we're all in silos. We got to put things in the bucket and we think outside the box. And I'm like, so I'm sending the email. Give me something I can hold on to.
Sure.
Hey,
Well, Ailgheanan, maybe we get you started on what you've learned, because you sound like you had some good tangible stuff to dig your teeth into.
Yeah, a little bit, but I kind of want to and trail in on what Sir Bess said. And, it's hard to become a learner and a student again. It's not easy. I remember, I was pretty full of myself when and was resistant to trying to take on a person as a mentor, or to try to grow my own prowess beyond just being physically a dominant fighter. So there's a humbling process that happens, and we take it for granted in squires and men-at-arms, or persons at arms, people who are coming it up, that they're willing to humble themselves to do the learning. And it's not the case. I mean, you still have to really put yourself out there and allow yourself to be kind of stripped down, to be told what you're doing wrong, and to try to figure out how to not take offense from that, and how to not be defensive When someone says your guard stinks, or your footwork really needs work and here's where it needs work. And oftentimes people, when you tell them something like that, they don't hear that, and this is what you need to do. They hear your footwork is not particularly good. And then they're just defensive from that point on, even if they say they're going to practice to learn. At some point, you have to have a really hard conversation with yourself to say, I think I want to be a student for life. Even if that means at some point I'm going, I want to be a trainer too, but I want to be a student for life. And I also want to have high prowess, but none of these things are in competition with each other. You can be a trainer at a very high level. You can be a practitioner at a very high level, and you can always still be a student, having an open heart and an open mind to the feedback and growth that's going to help you. But it's not easy, and that's what I can't stress it enough. It was hard for me with the various points when I've had to kind of remember to do it, and I see it all the time. I see it with people at practice. I see it people at events. They come up and they ask to learn something, but they oftentimes they don't want to actually learn it. They don't want to learn about themselves. They just might want to learn something from you that if and only if they can instantly take it. Like, is it a trick shot that I can add to my repertoire? Great. Well, but if it's I need to really think about how I defensively approach fighting and open my mind to the concepts of range and range awareness and range control. No, that sounds like work. I don't want that. So one of the reasons, I get back to this, one of the reasons that makes this program and its listeners and viewers so amazing is I think they're all coming to the table with that humility of, I'm a student and I'm on the student's path. And, the questions that we get every week have been so good, have been so interesting, and they're really demonstrating where people are. And Sir Bess actually epitomizes this an awful lot. You can see it. You can see the questions that she asks us, the way she takes the information and comes back with it for us. It is with that open heart and open mind of a student, and it's really great. And I think she does a great job of reminding us, that we're all supposed to be students all the time, and we're supposed to be inquisitive, and we're supposed to be non-defensive when it comes to our growth. So I want to get that out of the way, and actually heard a little story about the corporate world. You see that all the time. People talk about, in the corporate world, they talk about, well, my group's in these silos, but we're supposed to de-silo. That's something that people say, but the people in the silos fight really hard against it because we own this. This is our knowledge area. This is our control area, and I don't want to give it up. And, it's kind of one of those things. Sometimes in the corporate world, you have to say, you need to humble yourself. If we're going to grow as a company, we have to actually learn how to work as teams, and we have to, open up, and we have to understand that just because we have the knowledge in this area, it doesn't mean we should control it. We should share it. So when she mentioned that, it's like, I see that on the field too. I see that, people are like, I really don't want to learn that. Because they're in their own silo, they're comfortable where they are, and they don't want to come out of it. And so that kind of, reminded me that how much SCA fighting and martial arts mirror the real world and the people's concepts. So, and get that off my chest and see if I can actually get back to Tristan's original question.
Well, that was a good one.
Let me think about that, because I had to do the dump real quick of what that was.
Sure. Well,
So-
and if I could, while you're processing that, I'll jump in a little bit with the We Love Bess show here going on, and that is in learning, you not only learn from what people tell you and what you hear coming out of their mouth, you learn even more by just watching them move and studying how they do what they do. And kind of to touch on the silo principle, I've had discussions with fighters who will look at, a night, or they'll look at a premier fighter and they go, boy, I wish I could do that. And I'll ask them, well, why can't you? I mean, you can see what their footwork is like. You can see how they move. why not try to move like that? I mean, you're not going to get the immediate success, but why not try? Why not look at that example of how that person's holding their posture, how they're controlling distance? Just try to steal something, one thing that you see that they do well. Try to take it and work on it yourself. And you don't have to go over there and get a tutorial from them or get them to teach you. I mean, maybe they're not accessible because they're busy, or you don't know them, or you're shy or whatever, but look and watch and study, and then go try to copy and see where it takes you. Not to say that you're going to successfully do it, but you're going to take an influence from them and start to make it your own. And one of the things we can do with it's harder to do on video because the detail is hard to see. But when you're there watching somebody live, you can, if you really open your eyes and your mind to what they're doing and start to really study them, you can get a feel for things like Bronis talks about when they apply pressure, or how they absorb or start to control an opponent. This takes experience to learn to see, but when you like with anything, if you practice studying watching fighting, you will get better at studying fighting. But it won't come instantly.
Especially if you start breaking it down to
exactly
what are you looking at? It's like someone says, man, I really would like to fight like him. And it's like, well, are you seeing the big picture? Are you seeing the big global? They fight really well. They're very confident and they win, because we see that, sure. But when someone sees someone and goes, I want to fight like that, I'll say, what parts? I say, all of it. It's like, great, but what parts are you going to work on first?
Right.
There is no such thing as just teleporting in time to that place where you become very good. There is a work ahead. And if you want to get to it, you can hope that you'll get to it by just going out and fighting, or you can have a plan and you can work with people and you can get feedback and you can break it down into steps and milestones and you can start working on it. But, you're right, Trist. That's something you hear all the time. It's like, I want to be like that. And then, well, how are you going to do that?
Yeah, well, we talk about that. And I think sometimes we say, I want it, but I would like it automatically, please. I don't want to have to work for it. And it's okay that people say, look, I would like that. I would like to have this, or I'd like to have that. But the reality is I'm not prepared to put in the time for it. And as long as they're honest about it, it's okay. Like, I would like to automatically be as good at, say, I don't know, some of my garb as Misty as Princess Rifkin now is, but I'm not prepared to put all the time and effort and energy into it that she does. And that's okay. Sometimes I think that we translate or take, I want to be that good, as in, to mean, now I'm going to have to train, I'm going to have to do this, and I want to do that. Really? I just want it automatically. I don't want to have to really work for it. And I think Ronvalder talks about this, that some people just want to come out and have fun. And if we take I wish I could do that, and like force them to learn or speak or talk about it, it kind of steals their fun. I don't want to be a fun stealer. So I know for myself, I tend to wait a little bit to hear that a few times to see if somebody really wants it, or if they just kind of like I wish it. I've always been prepared to work hard, but that doesn't mean that other people have to be me. We're actually different people in the world. And if they just want to come out occasionally and have fun, that's all right too.
There's a saying in the world of motivation and coaching for people in business and whatnot. There's people who want to have $1 million, and then there's people that want to make $1 million. A lot of people want to have the million. Not many people want to do the work that it takes to make the million. And I mean, you're talking 1,000 to 1 type odds. And I agree with you. In fact, what you talked about in terms of, when somebody comes in, they want to just have fun. They want to know what it's like to put on a suit of armor and swing a stick around, or swing a sword around, or wield a shield, and you cannot impose, all right, I'm going to turn you into a serious martial artist right now. Because if you do that as a coach, you've not listened. You've not heard what the student or what this person is looking for, and said, how about I give you what you're looking for? And it's okay that today you just want to have some fun. Maybe next week you'll realize, hey, it's a little bit more fun if I know what I'm doing. How about we now take the next step? And it is a progression. I have the same experience with people that come in to learn Aikido, learn martial arts. Of course, as an instructor, I'm looking for people who show that they have the dedication to do it for more than just 2 months and then quit. But initially, you have to give them something where they have an enjoyable experience. You don't bring them down to the deep path of the heavy duty learning and discipline that comes later with the precision that's necessary. You have all right, here's what it's like to turn somebody completely on their head. And they go, oh, this is fun. And I think the SCA or any instructor, any teacher needs to follow that similar process. Somebody wants to come and learn guitar, don't start them in on Stairway to Heaven on the first day. Like, it's just going to be a recipe for failure. Make sure your student is enjoying the experience, however you want to do it.
Yeah, good point there, Tristan. If this was the Army, if this was a boot camp of some sort, I mean, I wouldn't have people spar for weeks into it, and that's if we were doing everything daily, but it's not. It's an enjoyable activity, and they need to find the place that they can enjoy it. They need to find the love, and sometimes that doesn't mean just new people. You very much can be years into it and still finding the love and still finding all the fun and chewing all the flavor out of the gum, before you get to a point to say, all right, well, I also have some other goals and I want to do that. But I think also as coaches, we need to find ways to grow people, allowing them to have fun, even if it's kind of a sneaky thing to do. We can progress people down a prowess path without it being this is what we're working on this week. And this, for the first hour, we're going to work on this. And for the second hour, we're going to work on that. Training's rarely like that. And it doesn't have to be like that. You can sneak in the learning in the midst of the fun. For sure. I mean, even drills where, you're on defense this time and these 3 different people they're going to take turns trying to see if they can hit you. That can be a lot of fun, if done correctly. Or now it's your turn to be on offense. And then we're going to break down what you're doing and how we can improve on that. It doesn't have to be work. It doesn't have to seem like work. But as coaches, you need to know which students want that. And you need to know which students say, are like, I would like to work. It's like, okay, well then let's find a way to be able to give you the work. And I think this broadcast that have been done now the last year and a half, I guess, have really shown lots of different ways to approach that and tried to help coaches and help trainers see the different types of students and the different kinds of things that they're going to need. So I think one of the questions that we've had for us was, how do you find the best person to coach you? And that's a good question. So I'll go back to being, as a student, you want to be open-hearted and open-minded. And that means you're going to want to try to take the information where you can. You might need to parse it in ways that you can work with, but, we're very fortunate in most of the fighter practices that we have in the SCA. There are a number of people that are going to be able to give a student information. You don't have to have one. Certainly you can have a knight squire relationship, or you can have, this is our primary trainer in our group and we're the primary students and those are our roles. You can certainly work at it like that. But, as long as you're open to listening, and then you'll teach yourself how to ask good questions too. Because sometimes in your group, there might be a knight or a high level caliber fighter that obviously knows something that you don't. And, it might actually take all your student skills to get it out of them, because, being a good fighter doesn't mean you're a good trainer, but by being a good student, you can find a way to learn from them. I think that one of the best ways we can find people to coach is to be very communicative, be forthright about what your goals are, about what you're looking for. there's this notion of taking on people at practice as trainees, and you as trainer, it's probably a little new to what we've been doing in the SCA, because we've been in this whole sort of, the knights are they own all the knowledge, and then they're going to pass it down, and some knight might pass this down this way and another knight might pass this down this way. And while I never want to strip away the magic of being a peer and what that means to the society, being a trainer is a different thing. And I think you be open-minded as a student, and say and communicate as honestly as you can what you're looking for. And then trainers all over the SCA world, you need to be going to practice and being very honest about what you can teach, and who you might need to go find to help teach other things, and the level of comfort you have training. And then you guys just start growing together.
Yeah, the being honest and forthright about what you want, I think, is a key life lesson. If you show up and kind of sit quietly, hoping that somebody's going to come help you, and nobody knows that you want help. And I'll say that having been group knight marshal and obviously knight in my kingdom, you can almost feel like you're being pushy if you go to somebody who's sitting there quietly and you say, I'd like to help you. Can I help you? And they kind of look at you like, did I ask for your help? So there has to be that initial handshake, that reaching out to say, here's what I would like. If you can help me work on blocking leg shots, can you help me with that? And my recommendation for coaching or finding a coach would be to just go and sample. Go up to somebody and say, hey, can you help me with this one little thing? I've just got this issue that I'm having. Something doesn't make sense to me. Can you help it make sense to me? When you do that and you find somebody that can speak to you in such a way that it resonates, and you go, okay, I understand now, and you have repeated successes, maybe that's somebody that can speak your language and can help you. Now, maybe not for 5 years, but maybe for a couple of months, maybe for a year and a half. But don't feel as though you have this one coach slot that you need to fill. And then once they aren't doing it anymore, you got to take them out and you got to put somebody else in. Like you can be coached for 5-10 minutes at the practice field at Gulf Wars, or at some event where somebody says, hey, I see you're struggling with this. Let me help you. And say, yes, please be my coach for the next 20 minutes. Help me with this. And I'll take away what you've shown me, and I'll go back to my practice and I'll work on it. Like, you're always seek out those inputs. In fact, seek them out with the intent of stealing everything you can from the people that you watch and you learn from. And the reason that I like that term stealing is that it puts the impetus on the student to say, I'm going to very selfishly and greedily go after what I want, and I'm going to take it and make it mine. And martial artists will use this term quite a bit about stealing technique. Don't wait for somebody to come along and drop knowledge into the bucket of your brain, because they may not. If you sit and wait, all you're doing is sitting and waiting. If you're stealing, you're running around actually grabbing things from people. And that's kind of, I found the most, probably the quicker way of increasing skill and increasing knowledge. And and I've seen this too, where you narrow it and say, there's only one person I'm going to steal from. Only this one person is good enough. And this is a trap that I've seen from martial artists of all kinds. Like, if it ain't Chuck Norris, I ain't going to learn from him. Like, I want the very best of the best, and that's it. And I've seen it in the SCA where it's like, if it's not a 5-time Duke, I don't have time for him because he doesn't know enough. I want to go to the very top to learn. That is the absolute worst attitude that you can have, because there are people out there that have been fighting, for quite a long time. There may not be knights, they may not be royal peers, but they do certain things very well. And one of those things that they can do very well is teach fundamentals and basics.
Yeah.
And don't overlook somebody who's willing to help you, because they're not high ranked enough, they're not prestigious enough, they're not famous enough. If you want to pursue celebrities, go knock on George Clooney's door. But And of course, if you have access to somebody that's won crown 5-6 times who's willing to teach you, absolutely. But don't hold yourself up because they don't have somebody of that level of experience around. I've personally found that the people that are eager and they're to do it, to help you, and that want to, just snatch them up, because you'll get more out of them than somebody with a high level of experience that's ambivalent about sharing what they know with you, or that they don't really want to help you. You're kind of an imposition to them. You're not going to get much out of them. But the person who's got heart, who really wants to help you, is going to do it. You'll find a way to do it.
So
Yeah, I
that process
agree.
that process of stealing, that goes in everything, especially and if we think of the arts part of martial arts, and think of then in the art world, or specifically any of the art world, music world especially, though, I mean, you steal licks, you steal approaches to how you're going to do chords, but you still technique, and what you said, Tristan, really resonates, is because, let's say as a drummer, you really just love Rush and you really want to be Neil Peart, and you try to steal every lick you possibly can from the dude. But it turns out they're not hiring, they don't need Neil Peart, and the world really doesn't need Neil Peart in any other role other than the one he had. And all you did was steal one person's things to try to become them. And it's not, that's not really true to how music works. It's not true to how fighting works. Go steal from everybody and make the parts that work for you, and then make them yours. And you become this new sort of composite fighter that has, got, if you just go and steal all the offense from a fighter that you think is offensively wonderful, but you forgot to go steal some defense from someone, you're still not going to win at the highest level. So steal from everyone, and then be gracious and let everyone know you just stole it from them too. It's fine. I steal stuff all the time, and then I feel like I'm name dropping. It's like, well, I got this from Branos, or I got this from Romvold, or I got this from Maximilian and Meridies, or Duke Gareth used to throw this, and it's a little bit of name dropping, but it's mostly, I want to give credit where credit is due, but I'm still stealing that crap. Did I step on you, Bess?
Not even one little bit. So I have to agree. To condense what you guys both said, I think both student and coach have to use their words. So, you're going to, as a coach, I should be using my words. If you come to me and go, hey, Bess, I really want to do X, Y, and Z, I got to use my words and go, you know what? I'm really not very good at that. This person who's better at it is so-and-so over there. You can talk to them. I can give you what I've got if you want. So that's me using my words. And as you guys were saying, the student has to use their words. This is what I'd like to learn, or I've seen you doing this. And to answer directly the question of how do you find somebody who is best to coach you, not all, I will say, I'm really only learning that not all practices are set up like mine are, in that we go, we do some, well, we gab a lot at first because there's a lot of socialization of practice. But one of the things I like about that is that you get to know the people. You get to know who you like and who speaks in a way that you can hear. We have a guy up here who is brilliant at training, and one of the things he teaches when he talks to the new kids, the newer fighters, about throwing a blow is carrying the bowl of soup thing. Be a waiter and carry a bowl of soup. That doesn't work for me, because when I carry a bowl of soup, I hold it by the edges very carefully so it doesn't burn my hands, and then I put it very carefully down on a tabletop, and so that isn't something that works for me. But somebody said to me once, Bess, do a karate chop. And I'm like, all little kids know how to karate chop somebody. So I went, oh, I can do a karate chop. And so that was what made it good for me, or it was a good description for me to learn how to throw a blow, at least initially. And so I have learned from that, from my own self, that somebody's descriptions may not make sense for you. And that's okay. and it's okay to get to know a few coaches. And one of the things I will say is that as a coach, when somebody comes to me, I'll say, I am happy to work with you, but I may not work with you, or more to the point, I might say things that doesn't work for you. And that's okay. Go talk to somebody else. Maybe they will be able to help you better than I can. No harm, no foul, no drama. Just go ahead, and that's okay. So,
One thing that I've noticed as a mundane martial arts instructor now, and that is because I can't just say go learn from another instructor. I'm the one teaching the class. And this is something that I think any good coach will learn over time, is learn different language. That if you're having trouble connecting with a student because the way that you're speaking to them or the language you're using is not resonating, try other language. And this is one of the things that I've learned, just to keep in the theme of the show, is hearing the different language that the guests and instructors that we've had on, how they view their fighting, or how they view what goes on in their mind, or how they view setting up opponents. The number of the episodes we've heard from people, from different people, they all have a different language, things that here's how it feels to me. And just the one that we had last week that I listened to, the mind of the fight, was how, I think it was Mark who was talking about, I view it in terms of like a conversation, like I feel energy levels. And that was completely opposite of how one of the other coaches was talking about. Like that's their feeling is more cold and analytical of, I'm seeing a shift, or I'm feeling a certain pressure. I'm looking to maneuver this particular way. Realize that as people think about what they're doing, or how their brain communicates with their body, happens differently. And the more language you can learn for how those different types of people think, and the better you can communicate with them, the better success you will have, and not just say, I don't know how to talk to you. You're going to have to find somebody else to do it.
yeah, I had somebody once talk to me, and this might lead into a rant y'all may hear from me later, about, yeah, Bess, just do this thing, just reach over their head and just do the thing. And I'm like, the fuck? Sorry, but like, that's the reality of it. Yeah, the reality is sometimes you've got to find the person that speaks the way that you do, recognizes who you are, and can work with you. Sorry about the swearing, but yeah, it's a thing for me, man. I got to think about this.
I want to jump in too with one quick thing, and that is, if as you're quote unquote shopping around for a coach, don't dismiss somebody because the first time they try to teach you, they struggle to communicate with you in a way that you understand. Because there's two things happening. Firstly, the person trying to coach you is trying to learn what language you do understand, and they will probably try a few things or say a few things that won't make sense at first. The other thing is that you perhaps are inexperienced enough not to learn the language that they're trying to speak, and they need to give you the vocabulary. They need to share with you the meanings of what they're talking about. That's a natural part of the process. So as you're shopping around for coaches, don't be so picky that you're just rejecting one after the other because you're seeking, I think as Bess talked about, that magical sudden, just turn my light bulb on and I'll suddenly be good. And I've seen some people kind of do that. So be careful of that one.
And I'll add to that, as the SCA continues to get better coaches and better trainers, you and us as students, the only thing that we really can control is ourselves. So work on being a great student. Look, a fighter can be out there and can do something that you want to learn, and they may not know how to share with you how to do that. So what you can do though is to get there by asking questions and asking for the repeat. So but the types of questions that you're going to want to ask to help you be a good student are, well, what did you do? That's an obvious one, right? Why did you do it? Okay. how did you know to do it? And those three questions, just off the top of my head, are the kinds of things that will help you as students learn from people who aren't particularly good at teaching. Even if you have to ask them again on a couple of different occasions, or go off to the side and ask someone else who saw it, why do you think he did that? Or why do you think she did that? Why do you, but the what isn't as useful oftentimes as the, how did you know to do it? How did you know that now is the time? How did you know that, did you set it up? And so the answer is going to be lots of different things. The answer is going to be specific to whatever it is you're wanting to learn. I'm a big believer in setting almost everything up, and which is why, the people who fight me the best are the ones who don't let me set them up. So my answer to a lot of things is, well, because I thought I saw it and I probed for it, and then I went and tried to set it up, and then it happened. So you're going to get a different answer from me on some things than you might someone else. But the questions are still good and they're still very relevant. Well, show me what you did again. Why did you do it? And how did you know? How did you know to do it? And you're going to get really, you're going to get answers that you can use, even if the person that you've chosen to learn from at that time isn't particularly good at expressing themselves.
We have a comment in the chat on the virtual world fight practice about victory conditions. And it's, you don't have to be king of practice. And it's really a discussion about what victory conditions are. And I think that is something I really hope that people are taking away from this. Victory conditions of practice is not being the king of the practice, not winning all your fights. Sometimes for me, I might think, okay, tonight I want to work on this shot, whatever this shot is, or doing that thing or this step. So for me, victory conditions are executing the thing correctly. Maybe I want to hit, I don't know, shield arms or something. So how do I do that? So, okay, if I can get the shield arm, then okay, I win. And sometimes then I'll do this and I'll be like, aha, I got it. And they'll be like, yeah, Bess, the shot was light. I'm like, yes, but I hit you. And like, well, the important part about that is, is that I hit them, I executed, didn't do it perfectly, but I got what I was going for. So in that situation, I may have lost the bout. I did the shot wrong and it wasn't any good. But here's the thing. I had a goal, I executed the goal, and I did it wrong. And I did it wrong so I can learn from that. Why did I do it wrong? What did I do wrong? Can we stop? Like, why wasn't that any good? And they'll be like, well, I think instead of punching, you pulled down. I'm like, okay, great. So now you're like, my lousiness is helping us all learn to be better. So that for me is a victory condition, even if I didn't perfectly execute it. And I think that's something I really hope you guys who are watching and who look at these things, and Ricky, you commented on this, I really hope that's one thing you can take away from it. You can have something, you can have a goal and not execute it perfectly, but you still win. And if that doesn't satisfy you, okay, you get a 90%. How's that? And 90% is still pretty damn good, even if it's not 100. So I think that's a really important thing to keep in mind. And hopefully, if you've got a coach, they can help you. As you were, Alan, was saying, you can't be good at everything all at once. You just can't. So you pick one thing. The coach says, okay, you know what? I've noticed that in particular, you seem to have problems blocking your left leg or something. Why don't we look about that? And today, why don't you just really focus on what the hell your left leg is doing and why you can't block it? Just focus on that. Don't change. Maybe you don't even change anything tonight. Tonight, you just look at it and go, yeah, I got hit in the left leg again. And then, damn it, I got hit in the left leg again. And then, ow, my left leg is really hurting. But next week, you spend all this week learning, like being hit and being aware of your left leg and what's going on. And then next week or during the week, you can talk to the coach and say, hey, this is what's going on. And they're like, yeah, I saw that too. So let's see how we can fix that thing up. And it's a slow and steady incremental pace. Nobody laughs at a baby when they stand up all wobbly for the first time and they fall down. And to a certain extent, we're all babies when we're learning this stuff. And that's okay. It's okay to learn slowly and steadily. Progress is progress, regardless of how slowly you're moving.
Yeah, that's a good point. Just noticed a comment from somebody listening, from Ian McFinnigan, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. He says, I learned some great viewpoints from the various approaches to developing a better fighting/competitive mindset, combined with picking up ideas and clarifications on how to coach as well as how to learn. Thank you, Ian. This is exactly the type of feedback we'd love to hear. As we started this project way back, a year and a half ago, nobody had ever done anything like this to this level, where we'd done a audio only podcast. We weren't breaking down fights or anything like that, just talking about how fighters think, how coaches think, the process of coaching and learning, the process of improving yourself, usually by changing your mind. And this is, I remember going back many years, a lot of the things that I learned about fighting, I learned sitting around a fire, just chatting with people and getting ideas from them through the spoken word, not necessarily being in my armor and sparring or practicing or drilling or what have you. Yes, you learn a lot there too, but the biggest changes that happened to my fighting happened from a conversation. They were the things that challenged me the most, the things that I would go back and think and process on and try to figure out and break down. And that's why when we did this Coach's Corner project, a number of the people that started, all the initial founders thought this would be a great idea, but we didn't know. And the thing that I learned the most was that I felt that there were people that wanted to learn this kind of thing, but I wasn't sure if this way of conveying it would be successful. And I think that hearing comments like Ian's just now is proof that there are things to be learned from hearing these conversations, hearing experienced fighters, coaches, trainers that can share the how to do it, the way to look at it. Because once you have your mind set in a direction, the body will follow it. Where the mind goes, the body will follow. And where what the mind can't conceive, the body cannot gain or cannot achieve. It sounds like a bumper sticker, but it's true. If your imagination cannot grasp something, then your body won't be able to do it. And here's a comment from James Doe. He says, I think one of the greatest things I pulled from all of this is gaining different verbiage and approaches as how to be a better teacher and student. And I think this touches on the language, just learning different language and how fighters think, how they break things down. You'll find somebody who's just like, okay, I get how they're talking about this, because it's not easy. Sometimes the language can seem very cryptic. Like, I don't know what is just somebody person just said. Or if you read, we were talking about this before the recording. If you read Book of Five Rings, you talk about cryptic. You could sit over, 2 sentences in that book and think about it for months, trying to understand exactly what the author meant, what Musashi was trying to say. So the more we learn different languages, the better off we're going to be. But opening your mind is the first step. You can't go anywhere until your mind says, I can at least get a concept of what I want to achieve. I think that's the first step.
I liked that comment that Sir James, I guess Prince James from Glen Aubin did there. I mean, you read it, Tristan. This shared language is still in debate. I mean, we're still fighting over certain terms and certain ways that we say things. But man, I'm so glad we're having it. And I'm so glad that, the internet is such a terrible thing at times. But one of the things that it's been very helpful for is to allow fighters from all over the SCA world come together and start having discussions. And then they're like, well, what do you mean by that? And then, in a way, the language is having fights, and, certain things are winning. The ranges by being defined as A, B, and C. That's I can tell you 15, 20 years ago, you almost never heard that. And, someone started saying it and someone else had some other way to do it. And those two ways of describing it got in a fight and one won. And I'm really glad for it, because having a shared language builds not just community, but it also advances our ways, the level and complexity in which we can learn and talk to and teach with each other. So having this shared language is really good. And this broadcast, as well as, the best parts of internet community, and then collaborating at fighter practices, and then collaborating at events when you're doing the big, the big practice after the actual event, which, by the way, fighters, if you're not doing that, for the love of God, I don't care how fun that tournament was, and I don't care how fun the actual melees were, the pickup fightings that happen when all that is done is where you're going to learn how to be a good fighter. So do those and talk and come together with people from all over the known world. Or if it's a local kingdom event, you're coming together with people from your kingdom, and there's a sense of community that happens in the post actual, whatever the fighting was for the event, pickups, that is super important. And it's the glue, I think, that sticks, the kind of person who's really trying to progress prowess and think about it as a martial art. And so, this common language is great. It's still in debate, and it's still a contest on which terms are all going to win. But,
it's a work in progress.
It's a work in progress, but it's good. It's good that this broadcast and, has over the last year and a half been able to, actually have a little consistency, or at least, assist in the fight. So yay us.
Good point. I think you're right. And that language will always be a work in progress, and we will always discover new things, new ways of describing them. I've had students that have given me some of the best language cues, because they'll just say, oh, this is like, their light bulb will go on, it'll click with them, and they'll have a language, or they'll have a way of expressing it that, is better than what I was trying to describe to them. And this is one of those, like, right back to the theme of this whole episode, which is the coach is not necessarily no longer a student. In fact, I think the best coaches will learn every session from their student. If you as a coach are not learning more about who you're coaching every single minute that you're coaching them, you're not doing a good job as a coach. At that point, you're just being a drill sergeant. You might as well just march around with a whistle. And so, I've found that the best coaches that have acted as mentors to me in terms of how to be a good teacher and a guide, they will all say, you have to really study your student, get to know them, get to know what their capabilities are, get to know what their limitations are, get to know what their hangups are, get to know what their fears are. And then you will be an effective coach, because then you can help them navigate through who they are, and they'll get to know themselves better, because you are kind of acting as a conduit to introduce them to the part of themselves they don't know yet. And that's where the relationship between a student and a coach gets very, very special. It's very personal. And this is obviously not from somebody who's coaching you for 20 minutes, but for somebody you're working with on a consistent basis. And it might seem at first glance like you might be shy about showing your vulnerability, showing your weaknesses, or your ignorance, or your shyness, or the fact that that you're incapable. But when you are honest with your mentor about who you are, they get to know you better and can get you over a lot of those obstacles much quicker than if you try to not show your vulnerabilities or what your weaknesses are. Because that's their job as a coach, is to get you, the student, over your weaknesses, to move you past them. Bess, you had something.
Yeah, I want to agree with that. So I'm going to agree with you. But more than that, I think that coaching, you're talking with, when you have a relationship with somebody, it doesn't stop in or at practice. So imagine you've been coaching somebody, and usually we're talking about newer people, but not always. but now you're at a tournament. Well, maybe they don't know what to do. Maybe they're not sure of the setup. Maybe you're at a melee or war and they have no flipping clue what's going on. And I think it's important that at that point in time, the coaching, even though, you're dealing with your own stuff, your own excitement or nerves or whatever, to remember that there's somebody out there who needs your help at that point in time. So it doesn't just end in the dojo, for lack of a better term, meaning all of us. It extends further out. When my very first Penzig, I had been, God help me, authorized for a month, and it was Penzig 17, and I had, I was up in Skirling-Althing, which is Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, and I think there were like, I don't know, 5 of us who fought on a good day, and I was at Penzig, and I was scared to death. I didn't know what to do. I'd never seen that many people in any one spot. And there was just this other woman fighter who was sitting there. Found out later who it was, but at the time she was just some woman sitting there. And I was like, what's it like? And she gave me a rundown. There'll be a lot of noise and there'll be a lot of confusion, but that's okay. It's all noisy. We're all confused, but you're going to have a lot of fun. And even just those small little words from a stranger were super important to me, because when I got out there and there was a lot of noise and I couldn't figure out what was going on and there was confusion, it helped me to know that, well, this was normal. It helps me when I went to my first tournament to know that I was there with somebody and they said, okay, this is a list table. You have to sign in here. You give them your name and they'll tell you what to do. And what is, on deck or arming or preparing to arm? What do all these things mean? Are you allowed to look at the tree? Are you allowed to talk to the people at the table? Are you allowed to talk to people? I didn't know at the time. it's a long time ago. I was new. And I think that that's part of the role of a coach as well. You want to be able to help deal with it. And Tristan, you're talking about the vulnerabilities. And one of the things, it is the most astonishing thing to me. Many of my friends are top ranked fighters. And I look at them and in my heart, I go, shit, I go out there and I'm kind of nervous. And I'm like, I'm not really sure how I'm going to do. And I'm like, maybe I'm in a melee. Please don't let me screw up and, kill somebody on my own side. Let me be okay. And as it turns out, these top level fighters who I have had respect for ever since I've been an unbelted fighter and who I've got to know very well, they have the same fears that I do. They have been open and honest with me enough that, and at first I was astonished. You mean Dukes or so-and-so, you're nervous at a tournament? Like, how can this possibly be? You've won crown 40 or 50,000 times. And the answer is, yeah, I'm nervous. And I'm going to say that was kind of reassuring that there's nothing wrong with me, Bess. Like, Christ, I'm a knight. I'm a Viscountess by right of arms. Why the hell am I still nervous at tournaments? It's been 30 years of fighting. I should be good at this by now. And I'm still nervous. And I tell you that because I was very reassured by people who I respect greatly telling me that they were nervous and they still have the same antsy-pantsy feelings that I do. So for anybody who's new and out there and wondering, will I ever be like somebody, can I be like you? You probably are like them, probably more than you know. If you're feeling nervous and you're feeling a little bit antsy, you're probably not so far off the mark. And I think that's important that people hear that too. Nobody told me that until I've been fighting for 25 years. And I figured I was just doing something wrong because I was nervous all the time. And that's not the case.
Yeah, what you bring up is kind of the case of expectations, where you had an expectation in your head that once I become good enough, I'm going to be like Darth Vader. I'm going to be, I'm cool, calm, collected all the time, unflappable. And what you learned was that's just not a reasonable expectation from people that were highly credible, highly skilled. They're in the Darth Vader category, and they'll still say, yeah, I get nervous. And that's, to me, some of the great example of the value of conversations like this, where you can take that and it changes your mind. And once your mind changes, then you say, oh, well, my expectation was not reasonable, but hey, wait a second, Duke so-and-so you have nerves. How do you deal with it? Now you've opened the door to, okay, this is a solvable problem. I'm not going to let this get in the way of my performance. Now I just need to ask the next question, which is, how do I do it? Or you start to think, okay, how am I going to figure out how to solve my problem? I may not do it the same way they do it. I'm going to do it in the way that I come up with, or at least try something new.
I know when I have stinky practices, I'm going to have a stinky, there's some days you just have a stinky tournament, like nothing works, your armor pinches or it slides or it doesn't work, or it just doesn't work. And some days practices are like that. And I stick around for those practices mostly because I'm too stubborn to leave. But also I say, I am practicing having a stinky day right now. This is what it is like to have a stinky day when nothing works, when nothing is going right, when nothing feels good. Because I think you need to practice that stuff too. And that ties in with, how do you deal with things? Sometimes you just go, I am going to accept that sometimes things are stinky, and that's just the way it is. Some days I'm going to have a wedgie when I'm fighting, and I'm going to have to figure out how not to be distracted when I have a wedgie. And that's what practice can do for me.
And the truth is, you never go into a practice saying, this is going to be the one where I have my light bulb moment. It'll surprise you. You'll go and you'll be, after a long day or something, you'll be like, okay, I'm going to put my armor on. There's a few things I want to work on. And the light bulb, sometimes it goes on, sometimes it doesn't. But when it does, you think, man, am I glad I didn't stay home and watch a movie tonight. I am so glad that I came out and got in my armor. And whether you learned from something from somebody who's coaching or mentoring you, or you figured something out on your own, or you tried something you thought might work and it worked splendidly, and you want to be able to replicate that reliably, whatever formula you found, or what made that light bulb go on, you can only get it when you're there. If you stay home and skip it, figuring, I could go tonight without getting a bruise, I'd rather just stay home. You'll never have that light bulb moment. So always something to think about, just in terms of motivating yourself.
And with regards to that, there have been times when I've been like, this is a totally crappy practice, I want to stay home. But then I say, Jesus, I haven't picked up a sword in 2 weeks. Oh my God, it's been 2 weeks and it's been terrible. And then I feel even worse for not doing that. Some of you may know I had shoulder surgery. I tore my bicep off my arm and I had to reattach it. And I can't really use my arm for pretty much anything, except tonight I'm finally able to type. So the gym is a big place for me. It's my happy place. I go and I work out. I can't do anything with my upper body at all. So I go, and there are 3 machines that I can use, and I can do squats. And normally I go and I do like an hour or an hour and a half of like some kind of cardio, and I'll do some lifting. And it's just a nice, quiet place for me to be in my head. Now I go, and it's almost embarrassing to me. I'm out in 20 minutes, but at least I was there. It's not a lot, but I'm not going backwards. And that's what I have to hold on to. And that's, Tristan, when you're talking about it, that's what we've got to hold on to, is going forward. Rather than saying, I don't want to get bruised tonight, I probably won't be able to fight for a while. So you know what I'm going to do when I'm cleared? I'm going to go fight left-handed. It's probably going to be pretty awful. But I've been working, in Bronis's practice on Sundays with footwork. So I'm going to be an awful left-handed fighter, but I can do my footwork. So that there's always, for me, that would be a victory condition, which is something we were talking about, victory conditions of practice. And for me, that will be my victory conditions of practice. We've been off for 18 months up here in Canada, up in Ontario. We weren't allowed to fight, and we were just allowed to fight. And I tore my bicep off. Well, that's crushing. But I'm not gonna, I could just stay at home and be mopey about it. And sometimes I am. But I'm gonna try to find victory conditions. And I hope that anybody listening at home or watching from home when they're doing this can say, you know what, I can do that. I'm hurt, but I can have a victory condition. I'm hurt, but I can do this thing. I can hurt, and I'm going to do it really badly, but I'm going to be there. you know, because I'm going to be really awful with my left hand for a while, but it'll get better eventually, you know, and that's okay too. And it does come to pass on occasion. I have to fight with my left hand, so it's not wrong to practice with it. So for people who are wondering, you know, about coaches, hopefully if somebody at home is hurt, like I am, you can talk to your coach about it and they can say, well, let's find you a victory condition. Let's find something that you can do. Sometimes just going and watching a practice, as Ailgheanan was talking earlier, you can see what someone is doing. You know, you can say, oh, when I've been fighting them, I've been in the thick of the fight. I've never actually noticed that they do this little thing with their feet, or they cock their wrist out or something like that. And watching from the sidelines is still forward progression. And you can do that. So hopefully, you know, when you're talking about coaches and training and who you can work with and all that kind of stuff, that you can find somebody like that. And if you don't have somebody like that, then maybe, you know, you can find it your own victory conditions and go. And I'm sorry, that was a bit of a rant. I'm going to shut up now.
I think you're all over the next points, and you're, you know, that I want to talk about, because some of the questions that have come through are, you know, on this very same line. Count Ulrich says, other than just suffering through the crappy practice or just dealing with it, is there a way of fighting your way out of a crappy practice or funk? And Kimberly Prophet says, when things don't go your way you have to figure out a takeaway, right? I practiced with a buddy recently and I didn't fight as well the next week before, or as the week before. And I said as much, and he said, yes, but we were much faster this week and we did things that we hadn't done before. You shouldn't expect the same level. I thought that was a great feedback. It's always about, you know, how you get better. So, and I can even, you know, make this personal. I went to practice last night and I knew my right knee was aching and hurting, and it wasn't going to allow me to do step back plants and throw, which is something that I do to try to keep a fight at C range as much as possible. But I've got to be able to plant for just a second before I go back into movement. And I knew that going into the practice that it was going to be an issue. We got out there, we started fighting, and it was definitely going to be an issue. And so I started looking for ways to, you know, get some love and some magic out of practice, because I wasn't going to get it from being able to do exactly what I wanted to do physically. So, you know, I've got the benefit these days of my stepdaughters going to practices with us. So, you know, I obviously got to, you know, just throw my joy into watching them. And I'm really trying really hard with Chloe not to be the primary trainer at practice. I want all the other fighters that are, you know, who wish to participate in that role to do it at practice. And then I have her for the ride home and, you know, the subsequent time afterwards to sort of, you know, try to help filter everything through. But I can just step back and watch her working with other people. And, you know, I'll think about what I want to talk about, but I can just take the enjoyment from it. And that eased the pain in my knee a little bit, you know. And then I also had to make decisions like, I'm not going to fight King Morgan, because, you know, that, and I mean this in the nicest way, that bastard, I can, you know, and sure enough, he told me later, he said, I can tell your knee was hurting, you know. And I'm like, yeah, you were looking forward to catching me and beating the crap out of me. I could just tell. And, you know, so, I mean, I ducked him. So, and another way that I was able to find and make my own, you know, I'm not sure if I love the term victory conditions, because, you know, not everything is winning and losing. Sometimes you're just trying to cruise through life and get all the love and magic you can out of it. But our Prince Zipster, had a wonderful Great Western War. He won a big tournament out there. He fought our own beloved, you know, King Sean, and you know, did so with a tremendous flat snap. And I've been so tickled as someone who's been a part of his, you know, just experiencing him as he's growing up and growing into the fighter that he's going to be, and watching the confidence that he has now, and knowing that a lot of the confidence that he's showing in tournaments out in the known world, and, you know, is because of what he takes away from our practices. and how he's growing there, you know. But we did our fights, and I was like, well, my victory condition out of this fight is I'm not eating that flat snap. That's you just won a big tournament win it against one of the better fighters in the known world. So I know you're feeling great about it, but denied, so I found and then through the process of doing that, I found a teaching moment with him where, I started kind of frustrating him about what I was doing. And he was like, well, what's going on? And I was able to say, okay, great. And so, the specific of it was, he was doing blocks, and then he was going back to a reasonable approximation of a guard. And I'm like, but that's not good enough. If you're doing high blocks, then you're holding high blocks. And it's like, well, that leaves the entire rest of your body to hit. So, one of the things that we do is after we make our blocks, and after we make, if we're going to go back into being in a good position, is you go back to actual guard. You've got to get your hands back to where they're supposed to be. It's like, but I kept setting you up, and you kept, holding the position. So I had the rest of the body, and we talked about it. And then we talked about how, he needed to apply some more pressure on me, and he was able to do that. And it was really cool. I wasn't going to win practice physically last night. I managed to find my ways to win it by, trying to be a good coach and a good sparring partner for people, and a pretty decent stepdad at times. So that's how I chose to win that one. And everyone's got to find their own personal ways to do it, and they change. You go into practice and you do it. But as my friend Duke Seth says, he says all the time, you've got to start putting yourself in the mindset of making excuses to go to practice, not making excuses to not go. So as the first moment you start thinking about, well, something hurts, or this is that, or my favorite team's on Thursday night football, or whatever it is, try to very quickly go through all the reasons why you should go, and all the excuses that you have to practice, and see which one wins.
That's really good advice. Especially for people that need a little motivation. You start turning it around and say, yeah, get to practice, or why not? And it better be a good reason why not. But I did want to have a good follow-up point to the question about what happens if you're having a garbage practice. Look at it as probably the best opportunity to learn what happens when your fighting is not going well. Imagine, instead of a practice, now you've gone to a tournament. You've just gotten beat in the first round of the tournament. You realize you're fighting like garbage, and now you've got one fight to clean it up. You assuming it's a double elim tourney, but you need to clean up quick, get back to what you know how to do. And that at practice, when you're having a garbage practice, that is your time to practice getting your brain where it needs to be, getting your body doing what it needs to do, recovering quickly. For those of you who don't know, Aikido is very similar to judo, and it's a martial art that is focused on tipping somebody to make them vulnerable, to throw them to the ground. And the idea is, you want to have good posture, and you want to keep a strong balance. And the idea is, well, you never want to be off balance. The problem is the real life does not work that way. You are going to be off balance. You're going to have garbage days. You're going to have garbage fights. You're going to have fights that you lose that you think you should normally win. It's not the fact that you're off balance that's the problem. It's how quickly you get back onto balance that should be the practice. And if you can learn that at a practice and not at a tournament, so much the better. They're both opportunities to learn, but look at it like it's a tremendous opportunity. And don't just go and say, well, hopefully I'll have that really good day on the day that I'm going to fight this particular tournament. Then you might as well be playing roulette. You might be a good day, might not be a good day. You might be having a good day, but somebody else might be having a better day. Make sure that you can lock in your method. You can keep your mind focused, keep your body calm, and do what it knows how to do. And if it's not on track, get it back on track quickly. that would be my advice on how to take advantage of a garbage practice.
That's great, Tristan. It goes back to what we say all the time, or what I definitely say all the time, is practice how you want to perform. And, so if your brain's not always in the right spot, then practice getting your brain in the right spot. That's just perfect. Take the opportunity to figure out how to make yourself get back in line. So practice having a good day so that when it's time to have a good day, you have one.
Excellent. Well, we're got about 15 minutes left in the show. There's a question that I wanted to pose to each of you, and that is to remember a time, or what was your most memorable lesson that you got from a student that you learned when you were trying to teach them or you were trying to guide them. And this could be either something that you tried as an experiment that turned out very successful, or something that you just happened to learn from them unexpectedly. Do either of you have any stories of things that you've learned as a coach or a mentor from somebody that you were helping along? Any light bulb moments you had as a coach?
There are times when somebody says, I just need a minute, give them the minute. Like, I know that sounds kind of goofy. If someone just says, just wait, don't keep poking at them, just wait. And I know that sounds goofy, but it has been something that has been shown to me several times, and something actually I do. If I'm telling you I need a minute, back up. I'm not mad. I just need a minute. Like, maybe that shot to my shin, I'm trying not to yelp. Say, just give me a second. Let me just stomp it out and I'll be back. And I know that sounds kind of goofy. The other one that I would say, and this is actually, I was, for lack of a better term, the student, because I think I might have been a knight at the time, or just about to be knighted. I was fighting in Crown, and actually I was fighting William of Fairhaven, and we were fighting, and somebody came up to me afterwards and said, Bess, you're really relying on your thrust too much. You kind of want to not really rely on your thrust as much as you are. And I'm like, okay, I hear what you say and will not rely on my thrust too much, which was easy because I didn't have a thrust on my sword, you see. So what had happened was they had gotten me, they were thinking William, and they came to me. And so don't just take anything anybody gives you as blanket. Like, that was so obvious to me that somebody had just gotten me and William confused. Sometimes you just have to just say no. Like, thank you for your input. Like, I'm going to be polite. And as a Canadian, got to be polite. But the reality is sometimes input is not something that I assess it. And if it's not reasonable, or in my case, not accurate, reject it. That's what I got.
I've had so many, I think, wonderful teaching moments that were, I thought I was giving them and I wound up getting them back, that they kind of all blur together. One of the more recent ones, I went to a practice specifically to work with people. So I flew up to this area and to work with a group of guys. And I gave this one person, and they're a knight, a younger knight, but I gave them what I thought was a perfectly reasonable set of, well, here's kind of what you're doing, and here's kind of how you need to change that or whatever. And then, it was in the process of also sparring with them. And so I'd fight them again, and I'd hit them with the exact same thing and for the exact same reasons. And then, I tried to come up with some other ways. And I want my coaching and teaching style to be more conversational, and, it's not always, but I want it to be more conversational. And I certainly don't want it to be confrontational. So did it again, and nothing, same result. Well, I tried to come up with a different way to say it, because I'm trying to find a way to connect with this particular person. And, it didn't happen. And after the third, fourth time or whatever of okay, let's break it down. Here's what's going on. I just snapped at them like, you're wasting my time. Do it and do it now and do it the way I tell you. And I'll be damned if they didn't do it that way. And it's like, well, that may not be the coach that I want to be, but sometimes the student might be that student who requires a little drill sergeant, and as long as you don't get your personal feelings caught up in that, and as long as you don't take it as an excuse to be a dick all the time, then I think that it's okay to try to figure out what the person you're working with needs. And if they need tough love more than they need a rational conversation about it, well, then figure out how to give the tough love that you can, that's not crossing any obvious lines. But I didn't want to be a tough love guy, but occasionally you got to be a tough love guy.
That's some excellent observations. And mine is similar in that I view this kind of as a failure. And as with all learning, you learn more from failures than you do from successes. And this was many years ago. And I'd have a practice at my house with my roommates and I, and one of our housemates would come over, and we'd just have, go out in the backyard. And she was much lower level of experience than the two of us were. And week after week, she'd be like, I just cannot land a stick on you guys. And of course, at the time, we were aggressively trying to get better. And you don't want to shut off the reflexes of blocking and being effective. Now, we weren't, unleashing full offense, because we could, but it still made it very frustrating. After a few months of dealing with this frustration, she go, I don't even know if I think I might be wasting my time, and I don't know if I'm enjoying this. And I was very young. I didn't really understand fully the what I came to learn later, which is how important it is not just to help build skill, but to build confidence. And that's something that I've learned since we started doing the show even more from some of the things that Brannis talked about. But then she traveled a few hours away to a small tournament and came back just beaming. Like, she's like, I was smoking people that I couldn't even deal with 6 months ago, a year ago. Like, but she realized, like, I was fighting opponents so much higher above my level that I didn't realize that I had gotten better until I went and fought other people. And she came back, she's like, this was some of the best practice I've ever done, but I didn't know it at the time. And I realized I could have, as a coach, probably presented it in an easier way that was a little bit harder on her psyche, but the end result she was thrilled with, and finally saw like the value of that challenge. If now knowing what I know, I wouldn't do it the same way again, but it was a learning lesson for me as a coach, to see how that played out. So that's I guess what I would say I learned, one of the more memorable learning lessons from a student. All right, so how are we doing on time? We're about 8:24, so we're almost 90 minutes. I'll put it to each of you if you want to say something to wrap things up, and then we'll sign off. Bess, why don't you go first?
More than anything, I hope anybody who watches this or listens to this, maybe as you're driving, that you get something from it, and that if you have questions, you're welcome to ask. God knows I do. Please feel free. I know I'm Bess Mortimer on Facebook. If you ever have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer them, and welcome any questions at any time. Please feel free to reach out if you do.
She's a question gal.
Yeah, and follow up on that. Same. I try to at least answer a question online every week. And I try to ask a question online every week, just so that my Facebook name is out there. That's if people have questions and you want to ask them publicly, ask us publicly. And if you have questions that you want to ask any of us individually, well, I encourage and invite people to do that too. It's Coach's Corner has been a great experience for me, both as a guest, as a viewer, and now as a more semi-regular coach on it. It's helping me think about how to present ideas better to students, and to take that to practice and, hopefully soon take to events, and, and be able to work on being the best coach that I can be. It was very important to me for a very long time to try to be the best fighter that I could be. And, Father Time is eventually going to kick my ass for me. But if I stay open-hearted and I stay open-minded, I should be able to coach and, to the grave. And that's kind of my plan. And this has been a really helpful part of it. And the viewers who give us comments and the viewers who give us questions, you're helping with that a lot. And so I'm extremely grateful for not just the opportunity to, every week or so come up here and talk to folks, but also to interact with and to work with. So I'm very grateful for all of that. And, thanks Tristan for, coaching us through this episode. And man, thanks Sir Theo for stepping in and giving us the technical support that we needed this week. Anyway, I'm very grateful. And me and my dog here, we're going to go have some dinner here before long.
Excellent. Yeah. Thank you, Tia Ward, for stepping in and being our producer tonight. Thank you, Ailgheanan and Bess, for showing up and having this great conversation. We do have the episode coming up next week. I think, Ailgheanan, you're hosting, isn't it? The Heroes of the West, part 2.
Part 2, right. Yeah.
So we'll be going through the follow-up to episode 1, which was fascinating. Some of the history of the first kingdom of the SCA and some of the legendary fighters that started there and came up through it. So I guess with no further things to cover, we'll wish everybody a wonderful weekend from those of us at Coach's Corner. Have a great night and have a great weekend.
Bye, everyone.